9 out of 10 adults are actively tracked in consumer credit reporting data. It is a vast, decentralized ledger of liabilities covering the entire population. But this data infrastructure was not designed for economists, and it was certainly not built for macroeconomic research. It emerged purely as a market equilibrium. Commercial lenders needed a mechanism to solve information asymmetry, specifically to protect themselves against adverse selection and moral hazard. Credit reporting agencies, or CRAs, developed as partial information sharing hubs. They allow lenders to avoid the winner's curse of sequential banking, where a borrower takes on hidden debt from multiple institutions right before defaulting. When these financial records underwent mass computerization, the scale of this information asymmetry shifted drastically. That sudden centralization of data directly triggered the regulatory constraints of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. The FCRA legally defined how long adverse information could be kept and exactly who could see it, permanently shaping the architecture of the data itself. This creates a strict structural conflict. A lender uses this to minimize their probability of loss. A researcher attempts to use it to measure actual household financial behavior. Because the entire system is shaped by institutional incentives and legal guardrails, querying it naively guarantees massive econometric errors. To analyze this data correctly, you first have to understand the architectural divide in credit files. This diagram outlines the structure of a credit report. Most users interact only with the top layer, known as consumer-level aggregated datasets, often referred to as roll-ups or attributes. These aggregated variables are proprietary and opaquely defined by the CRAs. If a lender simply changes their internal reporting practices, the aggregated summary can show a false shift in consumer behavior that never actually happened in reality. The alternative is the trade line file. This is the granular layer required for rigorous measurement. Trade lines provide a raw, month-by-month historical array of every outstanding balance and actual payment made on an individual account. But even here, researchers face the challenge of selective furnishing. Lenders frequently withhold specific fields from the trade line, like the exact payment amount, to maintain an informational advantage over competing banks. To extract true economic signals, researchers must abandon those proprietary aggregates and engineer their own metrics directly from the raw trade line data. Before you can run any aggregate statistics, you have to establish a clean denominator. You need to know exactly how many adults are in the dataset. Instead of appending a new loan to an existing person, the CRA system frequently generates fragment records, splitting one human into multiple unconnected files. These misfires are triggered by missing social security numbers, common names, or frequent moves. If you naively count the records, you will inflate the size of the U.S. adult population by tens of millions. You have to apply heuristic filters to deduplicate the sample, dropping any record where the file only contains credit inquiries. The second step is to require a strict persistence threshold. By filtering for records with at least 4 years of open trade line activity, you effectively remove unobservably deceased individuals whose files are still receiving automated system updates. Engineering a clean, deduplicated denominator is the mandatory first step before drawing any valid macroeconomic inference. Once the population is accurately defined, we can extract real behavior. The immediate challenge is measuring actual consumption patterns using a database to track outstanding liabilities. You cannot treat a high outstanding credit card balance as proof of high current spending.
A $10,000 balance might represent a huge shopping spree this month, or it might be the exact same unpaid debt carrying over from last year. This formula calculates how economists isolate actual new expenditures. We start with the statement balances. B sub t is the balance in the current month, and B sub t minus 1 is the balance in the previous month. By subtracting the previous month's balance from the current month's balance, we find the net change in debt. Next, P sub t represents the actual payment amount remitted by the borrower. We add that payment back into the equation. This calculation successfully isolates S sub t, the exact dollar amount of new spending. There is a major caveat here. Because of selective furnishing, you must aggressively filter your dataset to only include the specific lenders who actually report that P sub t payment field. You also have to algorithmically bound any negative mathematical results at 0. If the equation outputs a negative number, it is usually the result of hidden financing charges and late fees creeping into the balances. This exact trade line engineering converts a static ledger of risk into a high-frequency, direct gauge of macroeconomic consumption. Researchers frequently try to use credit scores as a proxy variable for a household's financial sophistication. The strict econometric reality is that a credit score is an ordinal ranking derived through standard logic models. These models are trained to predict a highly specific dependent variable, 24-month forward-looking default risk, defined strictly as going 90 or more days past due on an account. This visualization shows the inputs the logic model ingests, primarily credit utilization rates and 84-month delinquency arrays. Notice what it explicitly rejects. By law, the model is blind to verified income, liquid assets, and demographic information restricted by the Equal Credit Opportunity Act. For economists, this reveals a core theoretical flaw. These logic models cannot distinguish between defaults caused by systematic moral hazard and defaults caused by exogenous, idiosyncratic shocks. An external shock will completely overwrite any underlying behavioral signal in the scoring output. Natural disasters, regional labor shocks, or sudden medical emergencies trigger immediate credit score collapses, despite there being zero change in that borrower's actual financial sophistication. This limits researchers attempting to use regression discontinuity designs around specific scoring cutoffs to prove behavioral changes. Credit scores measure the probability of capital loss for the lender. They do not measure the inherent financial capability or resilience of the household. Credit reporting data is a siloed, inherently incomplete artifact of the lending market. The current frontier of quantitative household finance relies on linking these anonymized credit panels directly with external administrative databases. The primary institutional roadblock to this linkage is strict privacy legislation, which prevents the exchange of personally identifiable information between researchers and the credit bureaus. This diagram demonstrates the technical solution: cryptographic hashing. Independent database nodes hash their identifying variables into fixed-length alphanumeric codes secured by a cryptographic salt. They match these hash strings blindly. This architecture allows merging raw credit trade lines directly with CRISM mortgage or federal payroll records. This linkage instantly resolves the blind spots of the credit score. For the first time, researchers can observe exact borrowing costs and exact verified income simultaneously. By mastering these data structures and institutional constraints, researchers can reconstruct a flawed ledger of market risk into the highest fidelity map of the modern economy available.